Hi, my name is Anthony Alder from Alder IP, and welcome to another episode in the IP series. Today we're going to be talking about a fairly interesting topic. It's about board games, and particularly cover art in board games. Recently it's cropped up as a fairly major issue, particularly to board game designers, about using copyright and whether the copyright has been human created or AI created. A lot of board games now are being produced and released and distributed through Kickstarter. And Kickstarter is probably one of the main avenues for a new board game designer to sell their board games out at the moment. Kickstarter has introduced a new policy in their terms and conditions where it says that if you've used AI to make the board game or to make the graphics in the board game, you have to disclose that. Now, this has arisen because it's fairly controversial, particularly in board game sort of circles, about whether AI has been used correctly or whether AI has been used at all, particularly designed board games. Most people get very finicky, particularly with board games, about artistic works that appear in either the cards that go along with the game or the graphics that go along with the game. And you can see this particularly with games like Magic the Gathering and this sort of thing, where artists' attributions on those cards, on the particular graphics of the cards, are quite important, because the artist actually personally makes money out of each time the graphic is redistributed, resold, or merchandise in some way. Some of the cards in Magic the Gathering are turned into t-shirts, and the actual artist makes a royalty out of that. He makes a living out of it. There was a more controversial one where recently Terraforming Mars has been using AI to build its box graphics and that sort of thing. And the problem is that it's very easy to do this, particularly we're using Daily or Midjourney or even Google Gemini. These sort of things can generate fairly good quality graphics at virtually zero cost compared to what the traditional way of making a board game was. You send your board game out to a couple of different graphic designers or artists, and they would draw up different kinds of artwork and their impression, and then the board game designer would pick between two or three of them and work out which one's the best one or best fit. But with AI, that's not particularly happening. And we also became aware, Alder IP became aware of a particular case where a board game designer he sent the idea or the concept out to two different artists for box art. They did their own version of it, and then he used AI to merge the two different versions between the two artists. Now, this was never endorsed by either of the artists, and both the artists were horrified when this happened, and they didn't know about it until the board game was released. This creates a whole lot of problems, mainly because you haven't attributed who the actual author is. You've done something, you've adapted the work without approval from the original artist, and it can be actually a breach of what's called moral rights under the Copyright Act. So the really important thing is, if you are using AI for a board game, you have to disclose it. You also have to understand the repercussions for using AI. It might not be that popular a board game if you use AI. People like having humans do the artwork on it, and there's a bit of a pushback from board game communities, I think, to make sure that it's human designed. But if you do use AI, you have to use it in a responsible way. You have to disclose the use, and you also can't use it to manipulate some artist's work and put it out the front cover of your box. I hope this helps, and I hope this gives you a better understanding of copyright and how copyright plays into board games, particularly with AI. If you have any questions or need to run through contracts or need to review terms and conditions, please contact Alder IP. We're more than happy to help you and walk you through the issues. Thanks for listening.